Wealth is on the move and it's heading to the Gulf. Nearly 7,000 millionaires moved to Dubai last year as the world's richest look to escape rising regulation, taxes and political noise in hubs like Switzerland and the UK. That is according to the latest Henley Wealth Report, which recently ranked the UAE as the world's #1 destination for migrating millionaires. Dubai and Abu Dhabi are fast becoming the new havens for global capital, and family offices, in some cases managing billions, are shifting operations to the UAE, drawn by privacy, flexibility and a far lighter regulatory touch. I sat down with Ronald Graham, managing partner at Taylor Wessing's Dubai office, to get some insight into how fast these families are moving. Ronald, can you quantify the scale of wealth that's actually leaving Switzerland and the UK right now? Would you call this a quiet exodus, or is this a full-on stampede?
It's obviously very hard to quantify it accurately, but the Henley Wealth Report that was produced at the end of last year I thought was very useful, and it showed an exodus from the UK of about 9,000 millionaires, which is significant in that the country with only any greater number was China, which obviously has a population of 1.5 billion compared to 60 million in the UK. So a very, very significant number of the millionaires. And if you think that of that number, we obviously don't know how many of that number came to Dubai, but Dubai had the largest increase in millionaires around the world, thought to be in the region of 6,500. Now, if you compare the population of Dubai with global cities, it's on a par with somewhere like Berlin. So you've got to think, my goodness, are 6,500 millionaires moving into a city sort of the size of Berlin? That's really when you look at it by comparison. So a very, very significant move from that. We have seen Swiss families moving here, particularly Swiss family offices, not necessarily Swiss individuals, I should add, but Switzerland had a net increase in the number of millionaires that moved there, according to the Henley report. And I think that's probably true because it's still a very attractive jurisdiction for perhaps the more cautious family offices around the world that don't want the move to the Middle East, are very comfortable staying in Europe.
You could also say that Dubai has become a capital for stealth wealth. Whether that's perceived or real is open for interpretation. But do you think that is necessarily a good thing?
I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing. I think it's an unfair thing to label Dubai like that. Years ago, people used to talk about the French Riviera as a sunny place for shady people, and I've heard that used in the last few years here. I totally disagree with that. Dubai is a sunny place for bright people. It's for people that can embrace the opportunity to bring themselves and their families to really get into the network and the infrastructure. The opportunities from the various ministries, whether it's AI or F&B or hotel or banking and finance, are vast. And I see a lot of people coming in and seizing that opportunity and making the most of it.
And can you give us a window into your client base as well? Who specifically are you working with?
Well, obviously, I'm not going to reveal any names. That would be certainly very much against what I do as an individual. But yes, they are generally new wealth. So we're not talking about the sort of landed gentry that you might get, the aristocracy or people with long-term land or real estate in Europe. We're talking about relatively new wealth, where there's mobility within those families to be able to come and live here, often set up a business here that's relevant to the main family business, but they have within their family setup that ability to certainly get a residency visa here, but very often once they come here, they see the attractiveness of the real estate and the framework and the infrastructure of being in Dubai, so they come and they move here with their families.
And of course, you're not just moving money as well. I want your take on the multi-asset ecosystem here, because it's money, it's trusts, it's tax residencies, but it's also schools, it's staff, it's yachts, it's art collections. What's the most extreme movement that you've had to facilitate? Or can you give me an interesting take on some of the things you've actually had to do for these families?
Yeah, it's absolutely fascinating. So certainly the trophy asset area of the work that I do is probably the most interesting in terms of the type of assets that we're dealing with. So yes, I've had clients who want to move car collections that have been in Europe or South Africa. They want to move them up here so that they can enjoy their collection. I think the type of people that are perhaps moving now from Europe, they want their art collections here. They want the trophy assets that they've collected to be here. So yes, we are often involved with how are those housed. Are they in the name of the individual, or are they in the name of a trust or a foundation? But yes, usually the complexity with those families is obviously relates to the individuals themselves. Families are unique, and my role is to get to know the family and their sensitivities as best I can, and make sure that what we're implementing in terms of structure for them really fits like a glove for the family going forward.
If London and Zurich are slipping, then who's rising?
Dubai is certainly rising. The Henley Wealth Report showed that last year with nearly 7,000 new millionaires. Singapore also on the rise. I think it's benefited from what's happening in China and uncertainty in Hong Kong. It's the traditional markets, particularly in Europe, I would say, that have declined. Obviously, China's a separate case in terms of what's happening there with the 16,000 millionaires reported as leaving last year. But certainly, I think the newer IFCs have certainly got their act together. Although there are family offices leaving Zurich and Geneva, there's also been a net gain in terms of the families that have gone there. So there is no doubt in my mind that some of the families from London and from other European cities have gone to Switzerland. It's still relatively attractive, as is Monaco, which continues to be very attractive. But I think one of the edge, if I may add, is that in terms of value per money for real estate, Dubai is very attractive. If you look at the dollar per square metre, in terms of what you can buy for a villa or an apartment, certainly compared to Monaco, but also compared to many Indian cities or London, it makes Dubai extremely attractive.